Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the 2020 UMGASS Benefit Concert. I'm glad you could all make it out despite the weather today. The weather outside is frightful, but the music program will be something entertaining, I think is the word I'm looking for. You might have recognized some of the melodies from the fanfare there. They were from the show that we did in December, Yeomen of the Guard. This term we have coming up the very familiar HMS Pinafore, and to do a number from that show is Jeffrey Willets, Tommy Patrick Ryan, who's new to the group, and Stephan Lemmer, who you might have seen as Wilfred Shadbolt in the Yeomen of the Guard. Take it away. Thanks, guys. We promise not all numbers will be a cappella, and we'll get a little more work for Jordan, our pianist over there, so be ready for that. Next up, we have a song from a show that ordinarily might be held next year, but we are saving it, I believe, for 2022, which will be the 75th anniversary of UMGASS. And speaking of Yeomen and Pinafore, this year's selections, we have our next performer who spans both of those groups. You might have seen her recently starring as Elsie Maynard in Yeomen of the Guard, and she is the assistant director to Makoto Takata for the current production of HMS Pinafore. It's Megan Laine Yacobozzi. Thanks, Megan. I'd also like to welcome anybody listening in or watching on our live stream on the UMGASS YouTube channel. We'll have that posted up there eventually, so you'll get to see this over and over and over again. Our next performer, I believe, first performed with this group in the year 1960. Is that correct, Bob? 1960. How many people out there remember 1960? Oh, I don't. I wasn't. Yeah. And then he took a few decades off and came back and has been a mainstay of the chorus for the last 5 years. 2015 was that? 10 or 11 years. Okay, I wasn't remembering it correctly. So now he's added to his total of shows to the one that he did back in the 60s. And he is going to perform a solo here from Iolanthe, playing the role of the Lord Chancellor, a role with which I have no familiarity whatsoever. So I won't be able to judge him on that. But it's Bob Davidow with When I Went to the Bar from Iolanthe.
Going to court to read my brief said I to myself, said I, and I'll never take work I'm unable to do, said I to myself, said I, my learned profession I'll never disgrace by taking a fit with a grin on my face when I haven't been there to attend to the case, said I to myself, said I. I'll never throw dust in a juryman's eyes, said I to myself, said I, or hoodwink a judge who is not overwise, said I to myself, said I, or assume that the witnesses summoned in force, next restraint of a pleas or divorce, have perjured themselves as a matter of course, said I to myself, said I. In other professions in which men engage, said I to myself, said I, the army, the navy, the church, and the stage, said I to myself, said I, professional license, if carried too far, a chance of promotion would certainly mar, and I fancy the rule might apply to the bar, said I to myself, said I.
Thank you, Bob. So that's how it's supposed to go. I get it now. Bob, I sent away and asked people why they chose their particular selections, and Bob, for that number, said he chose it because he sings it in the shower every night. So I'll leave you with that image. Next up is a number from Yeomen, and if you saw Yeomen of the Guard last term, you'll be very familiar not only with the song, but with the two performers here. They made a great hit of the song in Yeomen of the Guard. The song is titled Hereupon We're Both Agreed, and they will be playing the roles they played in the show. You could reverse them, and that'd be amusing. No. With Makoto Takata, who's the director of HMS Pinafore this term, who is playing Jack Point, and Stephan Lemmer reprising his role as Wilfred Shadbolt.
Hereupon we both agreed, all that we two do agree to be secure by solemn deed, to prevent all error mental, you on LC ought to call, with a story grim and gory. On his Fairfax died and all, I declare to you to swear to, I to swear to, I declare to, I to swear to, I declare to, I declare to, you to swear to, I declare to. Tell a tale of cock and bull, of convincing detail full, tale tremendous and defenders, what a tale of cock and bull. In return for my part, you are making undertaking to instruct me in the art amazing, wonder-raising, of a jester, jesting free, proud position ambition. And a lively one I'll be. Wagga-wagging, never flagging. Wagga-wagging, never flagging. Wagga-wagging, never flagging. Wagga-wagging, never flagging. Wagga-wagging. Tell a tale of cock and bull, of convincing detail full. Tale tremendous and defend us. What's a tale of cock and bull? What a tale of cock? What a tale of bull? What a tale of cock? What a tale of bull? What a tale of cock and bull? Cock and bull? Cock and bull? And defend us. What a tale of cock and bull?
What's most amazing beyond the performances in that particular number is that they were able to find things in their wardrobe that so closely matched their costumes from the show. Before we move on to the next number, I'd like to take just a moment to remind people of another reason we're here, and that is because we are trying to support the Gilbert and Sullivan Society at the University of Michigan. UMGASS receives no money from the university, and as with nearly all performing arts organizations, only a small portion of the budget is contributed by ticket sales. The money from ticket sales is less than half of what it costs to put on the show. So we are very dependent on our fans and friends, and particularly those who are able to donate to the cause, both those here today and those possibly watching on the live stream. If you are able to and would like to donate to UMGASS, we would very much appreciate it. It would definitely help us put on the high quality shows that you've come to expect from UMGASS. Speaking of which, here's a gentleman who's been in many of those high quality shows and made a great contribution to them. He'll be singing a number from the show Ruddigore, which it hasn't been announced officially, but I have a feeling that will be one of next season's offerings. So maybe you will see Don Regan appearing in that show and singing this song again, but you'll get a preview of it right now. It's a song called When the Night Wind Howls, sung by Sir Roderick, as portrayed by Don Regan from the operetta Ruddigore.
When the night wind howls in the chimney cows, and the rat in the moonlight flies, and inky clouds like funeral shrouds sail over the midnight skies. When the footpads quail, the night birds wail, and black dogs play at the moon, there is the spectre's holiday, there is the night's high noon. There is the night's high noon. High noon. There is the ghost's high noon. As the song of the breeze sweeps over the trees, and the mists lie low on the fen, from great tombstones are gathered the bones that once were women and men, and away they go with a mop and a mow to the revel that ends too soon. For proper limits are holiday, the dead of the night's high noon. The dead of the night's high noon. High noon. The dead of the night's high noon. And then each ghost with his lady toast to their churchyard beds next by, with a kiss perhaps from her Latin chaps, and a grisly grim good night, till the welcome bell of the midnight bell rings forth its jolliest tune, and ushers in our next high holiday, the dead of the night's high noon. The dead of the night's high noon. High noon. The dead of the night's high noon.
If you hadn't already gotten the idea, we are encouraging or even demanding that the audience join in and sing along on the chorus, if you're so inclined. It adds something to the numbers, of course, because most of Gilbert and Sullivan's pieces do have some choral content or choral response, but not necessarily our next number. So if you want to sing along with this one, you're going to have to compete with the person who's doing it in the show in a few weeks. It's the song from HMS Pinafore, this semester's selection, and it is this semester's Josephine who will be singing it, Alexis Pratt. The number is called The Hours Creep On Apace from the HMS Pinafore.
Oh, that I might retrace the
So special shout out there to Brighton, Michigan. All of a sudden, I'm flashing back to 2009. I had the honor of playing Major General Stanley to Jeffrey Willets' Pirate King back in that production many, many years ago. I guess that's only 11 years ago, but still. But he's going to reprise it for you now. The Pirate King singing Better Far to Live and Die. Jeffrey Willets, take it away.
I shall live and die a Pirate King. But when a king on a first-class throne, if he wants to keep his crown his own, must manage somehow to break through more dirty work than I do. For I am a pirate king, and it is a glorious thing to be a pirate king. For I am a pirate king, the pirate king, and it is a glorious thing to be a pirate king. It is hurrah for the pirate king, hurrah for the pirate king.
So two local performers, Alexis from Brighton and Jeffrey Willets, native of Ann Arbor. Now he will pass along the headband to Phil Rhodes, and he will do his version. No, okay. No, next up we will have Makoto Takata, who is directing our current production of HMS Pinafore. But instead of doing a song from that show, because he's already probably sick of it by now, he'll be doing a tune from Ruddigore. It's a tune called There Grew a Little Flower, and he will be accompanying himself on the ukulele. Take it away.
There grew a little flower 'neath a great oak tree. When the tempest 'gan to lower, little heeded she. No need had she to cower, for she dreaded not its power. She was happy in the bower of her great oak tree. Sing hey lack-a-day, sing hey lack-a-day, let the tears fall free for the pretty little flower and her great oak tree. Sing hey lack-a-day, sing hey lack-a-day, sing hey lack-a-day, let the tears fall free for the pretty little flower and her great oak tree. found that she was fickle was that great oak tree. She was in a pretty pickle, as she well might be. But his gallantries were mickle, and death followed with his sickle. The tears began to trickle for the great oak tree. Sing, hey, lack-a-day. Sing, hey, lack-a-day, let the tears fall free for the pretty little flower and her great oak tree. Sing, hey, lack-a-day. Sing, hey, lack-a-day. Sing, hey, lack-a-day, let the tears fall free for the pretty little flowers and her great oak tree. Said she, he loved me never, did that great oak tree. For I'm neither rich nor clever, and so why should he? But fate or fortune sever, to be constant I'll endeavor. Forever and forever for my great oak tree. Sing, hey, lack-a-day. Sing, hey, lack-a-day, let the tears fall free for the pretty little flower and her great oak tree. Sing, hey, lack-a-day. Sing, hey, lack-a-day. Sing, hey, lack-a-day, let the tears fall free for the pretty little flower and for the great oak tree. Sing, hey, lack-a-day. Sing, hey, lack-a-day. Lack-a-day, lack-a-day, lack-a-day.
If you enjoyed that, or if you're watching on the live stream, Makoto has their own YouTube channel, I think, or at least I see. Okay, friend Makoto on Facebook, and they publish frequently Gilbert and Sullivan pieces accompanied on the ukulele. So you can see them if you go to Facebook and friend Makoto. You'll want to do that. Do that right now. Get out your phone and friend Makoto. Next up, we have Cristina Tamer, who will be singing a song from the Mikado. Cristina will also be seen not only in the HMS Pinafore, but in the curtain raiser that we're doing called Pretty Polly. Does anybody out there, any Gilbert and Sullivan, particularly UMGASS scholars out there, know what was the last time UMGASS did a curtain raiser? Well, I looked it up, and it was 1964. So this will be the first time in 50-odd years since they've done an actual curtain raiser before the show, and you'll be able to see Cristina in that, and you'll be able to hear her now singing a very famous aria from the Mikado, The Sun Whose Rays Are All Ablaze. Cristina?
Observe his flame, that placid dame, the moon celestial highness. There's not a trace upon his face of diffidence or shyness.
We wanted to keep all the very high soprano arias in a row here, so, oh, no, never mind. This one's a little bit lower key. 1/3 of the group actually performed part of this in Princess Ida a couple of years back in the fall of 2017. He's doing a different role this time. Another one is Tommy Ryan, who's new to the group this year, and he'll be playing the bosun in HMS Pinafore coming up, or as I like to pronounce it, Boatswain. And the president of UMGASS this year, Asher Margulies, who is also going to be appearing in HMS Pinafore, so you can come see all three of them, but not doing this particular song. The song is, oh, okay, we'll add that. I'm overruling Makoto on that. We're actually going to add it to Pretty Polly instead, if that's all right. The name of the tune is This Helmet I Suppose, and it will be done by Stephan as Eric, Asher as Cynthius, and Tommy as Guran.
This helmet, I suppose, was meant to ward off blows. It's very hot and weighs a lot, as many a guardsman knows, as many a guardsman knows, as many a guardsman knows, as many a guardsman knows. So off that helmet goes. Yes, yes, so off that helmet goes. This tight-fitting cuirass is but a useless mass. It's made of steel and weighs a deal. This tight-fitting cuirass is but a useless mass. A man is but an ass who fights in a cuirass. So off goes that cuirass. Yes, 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 so off goes that cuirass. These brass, it's truth to tell, they look uncommon well, but in a fight they're much too tight. They're like a lobster shell, they're like a lobster shell. Yes, 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 they're like a lobster shell. These things I keep to say, I quite forget their name. They turn one's legs to cribbage eggs. Their red-eye thus display, their red-eye thus display. Though I forget their name, though I forget their name, their red-eye thus display. Yes, 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 their red-eye thus display.
I think we should have mentioned in advance that there was a PG-rated show. That's generally not the case in Gilbert and Sullivan. Next up, we will have a piece that is only half Gilbert and Sullivan, and it's only the Sullivan half. The lyrics are by F.C. Burnand, and with some alterations by Don Regan. He decided, rightly I believe, that the lyrics for the first verse by F.C. Burnand did not live up to the standard set by Gilbert. Gilbert clearly a better lyricist than F.C. Burnand, so Don wrote some of his own. It's a song called Rataplan, and it's from a show called Cox and Box. Speaking of curtain raisers, Cox and Box is often used as a curtain raiser because it's a one-act show. I had the honor of being in that show the last time they did it in 2006. And so now you will hear the role of Sergeant Bouncer as it would have been portrayed in that show had Don been in that show. Don Regan. He was in it in 1993. Who here remembers 1993? Okay, go ahead.
In chivalry's golden days, when knights went their errant ways, with magical powers held maidens in towers, they rescued them heedless of fights or of frays. horse in her majesty's force, as one of the yeomen who meet with the foam, they said an invasion threatened the nation, and every man in the rear of the van took the occasion, and every man in the rear of the van took the occasion to sing. Rat-a-plan, 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 somehow the enemy did not run. So I gave up my horse in her majesty's force, as there wasn't a foeman to meet with the yeomen, and so no invasion threatened our nation. And every man in the rear of the van took the occasion, and every man in the rear of the van took the occasion to sing. Rat-a-plan, 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 plan, 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 rat-a-plan, plan, plan, rat-a-plan,
And on a personal note, I still have the pork chop I used in that show in 2006. I bought that, so I just kept it. It was a rubber pork chop, of course. We are very pleased to have in this particular benefit concert something we have not had in recent benefit concerts, and that is additional instrumentalists who will be playing for us now. We have Beth Halt on violin, Francis Wakefield on violin, Ralph Katz on clarinet, who you heard earlier in the fanfare, and UMGASS mainstay David Goldberg, who is on his 350th show, something? I can't even keep track. I don't think he can keep track anymore, but he's been doing it since the early 60s as well, playing in the orchestra, and he and his cohorts will play several selections for you now, at least two selections, one from Iolanthe and one from Yeomen, and I'll let you figure out the names because you won't be able to hear the words. Take it away. Those were, of course, a couple of famous quartets, strangely enough, from Iolanthe, though perhaps I may incur your blame, and from Yeomen of the Guard, Strange Adventure. I'm sure you all recognize those. Next up is the secretary of the UMGASS board. You may have seen her recently in Yeomen of the Guard as Kate, and she'll also be appearing in HMS Pinafore. But this evening, she'll be singing a song from the other show that is probably going to be in next season. I don't know if I'm spilling the beans too early, but I believe this year will end up being Patience and Ruddigore. But someone on the board could probably tell you better than I could. Today she'll be singing a song called I Cannot Tell What This Love May Be, sung by the character of Patience in the comic opera Patience. It's Caitlin Glimco. Thanks, Caitlin. I want to make sure to acknowledge a couple of people before we go on and before it gets too late and before I forget. One is, let's give a round of applause and have him take a bow, our accompanist, Jordan McKay. And I'd also like to acknowledge a person who's normally the costumer, who will be costuming HMS Pinafore, but who is also the principal photographer for the group, Marilyn Gwynn. You will be able to see these pictures, I assume, on the UMGASS website and the UMGASS social media pages in the near future. So those of you watching on the web, please go and look for those as soon as this show is over. The rest of us will be struggling home in the snow. This next selection is from a show that hasn't been done by UMGASS in 21 years. The last time this particular production was presented was in 1999. It's a song from Utopia Limited. The song is called Although of Native Maids the Cream, and back on stage again for another number is Makoto Takata, and joining him this time is longtime UMGASS, third generation UMGASS regular, and 13-time choreographer, something like that. I think she's choreographed more UMGASS shows than any other person, easily. It's Beth Ballback, doing the song Although of Native Maids the Cream from Utopia Limited. And as you can see, the reason they haven't done it in so long is not necessarily because it doesn't have funny moments, because it does. I saw an uncut version of it, though, 8 years ago. It's 3 hours and 40 minutes long, is one of the problems. So you have to get a good cutting of it before you can actually put it on with any success. But next up is a song from a show that's only about 45 minutes long or something. How long is it? It's one of the shorter ones. Which is sort of why they're doing a curtain raiser with it this time. It's another song from the HMS Pinafore. It's a famous trio from Act 2 called Never Mind the Why and Wherefore, and Alexis Pratt will be doing the role she will be doing in April. Let's make sure we get those dates out, April 9th to 12th. Get your tickets, not now, but soon. March 9th. And remember, there's an extra day in February this year, so you have to wait even longer. Something to do with Pirates of Penzance, I can't remember why. And playing the role of Sir Joseph, as he did 4 years ago, is Don Regan again. And Tommy Ryan will be taking the role of Captain Corcoran instead of me, because I really don't want to do that role. I just don't. They're making me do it. No, it's a great role, but I have enough to do here. I just want to get home from this thing in the snow, and safely. That's all I care about. But Tommy Ryan will be taking the role of Captain Corcoran. Take it away.
Never
mind the why and wherefore. Love can never ranks and therefore with his lordship stations mighty, though suspenders be his brain, though her vows he patent flighty and her fortune fall and plain. Ring the merry bells on board ship, rend the air with warbling wild, for the union of my lordship with a humble captain's child, for a humble captain's daughter,
and a lord who rules the water,
and a tar who plows the water.
let the air with joy be laden, rend the songs the air above, for the union of a maiden with a man who owns her love. Never mind the why and wherefore, love can never ranks and therefore, though your nautical religion in my set could set this pass, though you occupy a station in the lower middle class. Ring the merry bells on board ship, rend the air with warbling wild, for the union of my lordship with a humble captain's child,
for a humble captain's daughter,
For a gallant captain's daughter.
and a lord who rules the water.
And a tar who plows the water.
Let the air with joy be laden, rend the songs the air above, for the union of a maiden with the man who owns her love.
Never mind the why and wherefore, love can never mix, and therefore I admit the jurisdiction. Ably have you played your part. You have carried from conviction to my hesitating heart.
Ring the merry bells on board ship, rend the air with warbling wild, for the union of my lordship with a humble captain's child,
for a humble captain's daughter,
For a gallant captain's daughter.
and a lord who rules the water.
And a tar who plows the water. Let the air with joy be laden.
Ring the merry bells on board ship,
For the union of a maiden.
for her union with my lordship, rend the songs the air above, for the man who wants her love, rend the songs the air above, for the man who wants
Of course, usually that song has like 6, 10 verses. They usually go on and on and on. You're supposed to yell encore at the end, I think.
Encore.
Since you don't get to see Utopia Limited except every 21 or more years, we're doing another song from that show, and Jeffrey Willets will be doing a song called A Tenor All Singers Above. And you can already guess that it's, comedy. Even if it wasn't Gilbert and Sullivan, just the title alone would tell you it's comedy. Just the word tenor alone would tell you it's comedy.
Oh, Zara, my beloved one, bear with me. Do not laugh at my attempted says. Repent not mocking maid thy girlhood's choice. The fervor of my love affects my voice. A tenor of singers above, this doesn't admit of the question, should keep himself quiet, attend to his diet, and carefully nurse his digestion. But when he is madly in love, it's certain to tally his singing. You count chromatics with proper emphatics when anguish your bosom is ringing. When distracted by worries aplenty, and his pulse is 120, and his fluttering bosom the slave of his lust is a tenor can't do himself justice. Now observe. You see, I can't do myself justice. I could sing if my fervor were a mock. It's easy enough when you're acting, but when once emotion is born into notion, you mustn't be over exacting. One ought to be firm as a rock to venture a shaking vibrato. When fervor's expected, keep cool and collected, and never attempt agitato. But of course, when his tongue is a blender, and these lips appear pasted together, and his delicate pants is dry as a crust is a tenor, I can't do himself justice. I will try it again. You see, I can do myself justice.
Why is it we can't get Jeffrey in our shows anymore? That's what I don't understand. He's off doing solo numbers somewhere. So in order to fulfill our quota of maids, which is 5, we had our 2 maids from Utopia, and now we have our 3 little maids from school. It's Caitlin, Beth, and Megan. Take it away, ladies.
Little maids from school are free, parties to school for welcome be. Dancing around with girders free. Free little maids from school, everything is so much fun. No one's safe or care for none. But if the jukebox just begun. 3 little maids from school. 3 little maids who all unvary, come from the ladies' seminary, free from seniors to Mary. 3 little maids from school, 3 little maids from school. One little maid is a pride of love, 2 little maids are 3 little maids to serve. 3 little maids from school. From 3 little maids, take 1 away. 2 little maids remain. Won't have to wait very long, they say. 3 little maids from school. 3 little maids who all unwary, come from a ladies' seminary, free from a genius tutor Mary. 3 little maids from school. 3 little maids from school.
What do you think this song will be? Any volunteers for guesses? He's another kind of officer than the ones he played earlier. Anybody? Anybody? Sergeant of police, maybe? The song, of course, is When a Felon's Not Engaged in His Employment. The opera is Pirates of Penzance, and the singer is Stephan Lemmer, as joined by you. And a mustache.
When a felon's not engaged in his employment, or maturing his felonious little plans, his capacity for innocent enjoyment, just as great as any honest man's. Our feelings we with difficulty smother, enterprising burglar's not a burgling. When the cutthroat isn't occupied in crime. He loves to hear the little brook a-gurgling and listen to the merry village chime. When the cost is finished jumping on his mother, he loves to lie basking in the sun. Oh, take one consideration with another. A policeman's lot is not a happy one. When constabulary duties to be done, a policeman's lot is not a happy one.
The rumor I hear is that Stephan is trying to put off his PhD defense until after he can play that role in 2022. I don't know if it's true, but that's what I hear. For the next number, we're again going back to HMS Pinafore, and this is definitely an audience participation kind of song. You will recognize this song. It's called For He Is an Englishman. And we will recognize the singer as the person who will be performing that number as the bosun in HMS Pinafore coming up April 9th to 12th. Boatswain. As the Boatswain. And his name is Tommy Ryan. Thanks, Tommy. And thanks to all of you for coming out in the snow to see the show. Again, the reason for the concert is to try to raise awareness and raise money as well. And there will be people in the lobby that can collect any money you might want to leave on the way out. There'll be a big jar or envelope or something. So thank you again for your attendance, and thanks to all our performers tonight. Let's all give them one more big round of applause. For those of you viewing online, there's, I think, some kind of a button that you can push to give us money. Yeah, hit the link and give us money, please. Thank you. For everybody else, please drive safely on your way home, and please come see HMS Pinafore, April 9th through 12th, Lydia Mendelson Theater, right down on campus. Thanks again.